What's up YouTube, Secret True Lane, and today we are going to be talking about all of the toxicity that's been coming in since we've gotten this wave of WoW players, as well as we're going to be talking about Asmongold a bit as well, since he's been taking a break off and there was something they wanted to say. So I'll see you guys in a few minutes. What's up everybody, Secret True Lane here, and today, we're going to be talking about the toxicity that's come since those WoW players have come join us. And we're going to talk more specifically about where that toxicity is coming from exactly. Now before you decide to dislike the video and leave a thumbs down or some type of hate comment, listen to the video first and then you'll probably agree with me in the end. So first, let's start with all this toxicity coming since the WoW players started playing our game. Oddly enough, the toxicity isn't coming from the WoW community. I'm gonna be honest, I'm quite surprised. Now, I don't agree with all of the add-ons that limit rights. I don't think that blatantly disregarding the terms of service is best for the game. Do I think everybody should play the game vanilla without add-ons? No. A lot of people use add-ons. ACT I think is typically fine, but I don't agree with any streamer that is blatantly ignoring the TOS and just like, look at me, I'm ignoring the TOS. I do think that that's going to be bad for the game in the long run. However, this does not mean that in general I don't like Maxim. I'm actually really glad to hear all the positive things he has to say about Final Fantasy. And honestly, even if he had some negative things, I wouldn't care. I would be totally fine with that. To be honest, I'm really surprised about how much he's praised the raids and how much credit he's given the raids. Personally, I think the raids are a lot better than most people think they are too. I think a lot of people are stuck on the raids aren't good since, honestly, Alexander. Because A3 and A4 Savage were hell. Now, Maxim's not toxic. Let's go to Pyromancer. Pyromancer has done nothing but praise the lore of this game, talk about how great the game is, and just like, it's honestly has completely converted his life from a WoW player to a Final Fantasy 14 player. And you know, I love watching his streams. He's a great guy. No toxicity coming from him. Let's take a look at Asmongold. Asmongold, I think the majority of people were worried about him being toxic. Now, I had a video lately where I didn't agree with the fact that he went on talking about how people are being so mean to him. I still stand by what I said, that he was being a bit too thin-skinned, especially for his community that he has, you know, raised. I mean, like, there's not much more to say about it. I mean, like, the man is in charge. You're in charge of your communities. You either clean out the gutter, or you decide to say that it's not that toxic. And to be honest, I think anyone who's not part of that community can look at there and say, yeah, there's a lot of toxicity, and we take a look at Asmon, have to take a break off, and you take a look at all the shit that Asmon goes through. Is everybody toxic? No, but there's a lot of toxic there. Now, there's something he said, and I really think it's since, you know, if I'm going to make videos about parts I disagree with him, I also need to make videos of when he says something that I think is great, and that is when he finally acknowledged that he needs to stop playing Final Fantasy 14 as a WoW player. And if you're coming to Final Fantasy 14 from WoW, that's the first thing you need to do, is not come into it thinking of it as a WoW replacement. Final Fantasy 14 is not your rebound from WoW. Final Fantasy is a great game, and you're going to love the game if you play it like a Final Fantasy game, if you play it like its own game. If you come into Final Fantasy wanting to play it like WoW and using like the mentality you have from WoW, which can be anything from a toxic mentality to just, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to set all these goals for myself. If you come into the game and you're not having fun, you're not playing it right. And that's simply it. If you come into this game and you're not having fun, you are not playing it right, because there's so many ways to play this game. And what I mean by that, by the way, is not there's one way to play the game, but there are so many ways to play this game that there's a way for everyone to enjoy it. your way of playing might not be my way I enjoyed. I'm not an ultimate raider. I wish I could do the ultimates, but due to certain time constraints and time zones and wanting to be on the server with my friends, I really can't. But a lot of people do it and they have fun, and I'm happy for them. If that's your type of play, great. If you're somebody who just likes to role play and glamour yourself, then that's your gameplay. Great. But if you come to this game and you don't like it, that means you have not found the right way to play it for you. Personally, I think WoW could have had a lot more. Final Fantasy XIV has a lot more variety than WoW does. That is one thing for sure. WoW is great if you want to play like a fantasy, just focus on fantasy RPG stuff, fighting and killing. 14 is great if you want to be a part of honestly, a virtual community. You want to live in a virtual world. That's what 14 is. So Asmon finally acknowledging that he can't play this as WoW is great. And I want to be honest, I'm still watching Asmon, and he's done something else that I really like, and that's the fact that you had all the people on Twitch, including Quinn66, who went out and decided that when Asmon was taking a break, it was because of the Final Fantasy XIV base. And I was really glad to hear when Asmon made his video saying that it wasn't that he was tired of Final Fantasy XIV. In fact, he wants to play it a lot, but he doesn't want to continue the story off stream. So I'm really glad to hear that. I hope he enjoys continuing playing the game. I don't want people to think that just because my last video I dislike him. I don't. I don't dislike Limit. I have disagreements. I disagree with certain things they do, but there's a difference between disagreeing with certain things they do and thinking they're like some piece of shit or something. And I don't think that. I don't at all think that Limit or Asmon are bad. I do think Asmon's community, for the most part, is bad. I think there's some really great people in his community, don't get me wrong, just like WoW has great people. But a lot of his community is that toxic fan base from WoW, and to be perfectly honest, some of them are they're the WoW players who are just as toxic in that community. Now, has Asmon himself been toxic in the game? No. Asmon's been chill as hell, you know, and honestly, if anything, I've gotten so irritated at hearing what's been said to him. Last streamer, Rich. Dude, Rich is a blast. I love watching Rich. He's a great guy, and he cleared UCOP. I found that out. I watched a couple of his attempts. Dude, I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy that he got that clear. You know, anybody who can get that clear, well, to be perfectly honest, you deserve it. Because the fact is, it's not easy enough to carry 7-man through. And streamers are not the best players. I'm not saying streamers are bad players. Streamers are great players. But they're not the best players. Because the fact is, they're streaming while trying to focus on content. Your best raids are not going to be in stream usually. And so, just, you know, Rich did not get carried. You can't. I don't consider getting a clear through UCOP a carry, unless you actually paid money for one high tier group that literally, that's all they do. Which, to be honest, the group that we saw with Mr. Happy and all them, that's not what they do. If anything, they're against carrying people through content, because it means that you get bad players in content they can't do. So we've gone through the WoW streamers for the majority, and none of them are toxic. So where is this toxicity coming from? Now, in the beginning of the video, I said that there's a lot of toxicity coming since the WoW players joined. Now, to be perfectly honest on that, that was kind of a clickbait, and the title's a clickbait, because the fact is, it's not the WoW players bringing the toxicity over, it's that there's a lot of casual players in Final Fantasy XIV. Now, for the longest time I've known about this toxicity because the fact is, I've dealt with being called elitist just for wanting to help people get clears. You know, oh, you're trying to get a raid done, you're an elitist. I've had my own friends, some of my own friends, call me an elitist just because I wanted to get a static group together and clear some damn raids. This is Final Fantasy's majority base. The majority base of Final Fantasy are casuals who, to be perfectly honest, want to do the content but can't, and get pissed off at anyone who's trying to do it because they can't do it. I'm not surprised Rich got their tweets about Rich getting carried. The fact is, dude, the people who tweet that haven't cleared it. And they're tweeting that because they haven't cleared it. They can't get a group together, and so they think it's not fair. And let's be fair, Rich does get streamer privileges, but that doesn't mean carry. Here's a streamer privilege Rich got. Rich got a group that knew the fight. A group that could teach him the fight, and a group that was going to be patient with him and do the fight with him. But you know what? Streamers are in a community of themselves, and they tend to get close and they become friends. I expect to see Rich become friends with the original Final Fantasy XIV streamers. And if anything, I am so glad to see our original streamers, Mr. Happy, Work to Game, and all the other streamers, Momo FF14, deciding that they're going to come together with the new streamers from WoW and be like, hey, you know what? Welcome to our game. Let's do stuff together. The streamers are not locking them out like, hey, this is our territory. Get off. You're on our turf. They want them in. They realize there's plenty of game to share. And if anything, I think that we're going to see Final Fantasy XIV, the original streamers, start to blow up and grow more. Because you're going to get a lot of the fan base from these other streamers who are going to go to them and watch them. So, did Rich get streamer privileges? Well, yeah. He got a good group. But there's a difference between streamer privileges and getting carried. He didn't get carried. The group did force him to learn the fight, and they made sure he could do the fight, which is awesome. So if anything, he got probably one of the best groups possible because they taught him the fight in a proper way. So do streamers get streamer privileges? Yes. Should that mean that anything they accomplish in the game doesn't mean anything? No. They still had to accomplish it like anyone else. You know what, and when Asmund clears it, dude, we already know when Asmund clears it, you're gonna get Mr. Happy, and you're gonna get Momo, and you're gonna get probably Zen. You're gonna get a group of people in there together that are gonna help him get that clear, and that's the word help, not carry. And people are still gonna bitch about how he got carried. And the fact is that that casual base is where the toxicity is coming from. And while that's not where I expected it from, it doesn't actually surprise me. My expectations and what has actually occurred are completely different things. I expected to get a lot of WoW players coming in, trying to change Final Fantasy XIV to WoW, and when I made that last video, I'm not gonna lie, man, I was pretty pissed off because in Max's chat, you had people talking about how they're gonna make Final Fantasy, good like WoW is, with all their add-ons and bullshit. And the fact is, Final Fantasy XIV is good. And part of what makes it good is not being overflooded with add-ons, not having to require you to have add-ons to play the game. And anyone who comes into the game with the mentality of we're gonna make the game good by doing this, like WoW, well then, to be perfectly honest, they can fuck off. I don't want them in my game. I don't want them in your game. I don't want them in this game. And I do say it's my game because it is partly my game. It's partly anyone's game who pays it. If you pay for the sub, it's partly your game. And I do think that if you pay for the game, you do have the right to an opinion of not wanting certain people in the game. Do you have a right to gatekeep them and attack them? No. And again, I'm not talking about Limit or Asmund. I want them in the game. I'm talking about the little piece of shit commenters who decide that Final Fantasy XIV needs to be more like WoW. Anyone who's been playing Final Fantasy XIV since 2011 or 2010 or whatever you start playing, I've been playing since 2013 in closed beta. The last thing you want is for it to be like WoW. That's the last thing we want. And not because WoW is bad, but because WoW is a different game. 14 has so much more to offer. We don't want to downgrade it to WoW where it's literally, oh, pick a character, go kill things, that's all you do in the game. 14 has just a life of itself. And anybody who wants to change the game to be like another game, I don't even care what other game you want to change it into. You just can't do that. And I'm pretty sure, like, if someone from 14 went to WoW and saying, well, we're going to make this game good like 14 is right now since your game sucks, they would be pretty pissed off too. So where is the toxicity coming from? The Final Fantasy 14 casuals. Not all of them. But sadly, there's a small percent of people who just can't bear to see anybody achieve something else. And personally, if you don't want to see somebody achieve something that you can't achieve, you shouldn't be watching the streams. You shouldn't be watching YouTube channels that are recapping it. you know, I may disagree with sometimes, but I still want. I may disagree with Asmon sometimes, and I may disagree with Limit sometimes, but I still want to see them clear it. I do think that if Limit is using all the add-ons he uses and gets a world first clear, I don't think it should be valid, to be honest. Because if it's actually reading from the game, unless you have to unless it's obviously the fight has to be cleared before that add-on's ready to go. If the fight has to be cleared before the add-on's ready to go because it's been programmed once the fight's been cleared, then whatever, I don't care. If the fight's been cleared, I don't care so much about the add-ons. But I think for a world first race, the add-ons are going to ruin it if they work, personally. And I could be wrong. They could not work. Everything could be fine. But in the end, guys, I've been keeping up with them. I'm really glad to hear what Limit said about the Final Fantasy 14 raids. I'm really glad to see that he said, you know, as a top tier competitive raider in WoW, we're talking the best of the best raiders, some of the best raiders coming here, and him being one of the leaders and saying, hey, you know what? This game has, these raids are really good. These raids are much better than people give them credit for. That's a big thing. Especially when WoW's biggest point is raids. Having somebody who's played the best part of WoW come and say, you know what, 14s are pretty good. That's a pretty good compliment. That's actually really good. And, you know, I don't expect him to clear content, old content, because it doesn't make much sense. Like he said, you know, I mean, why would he gear himself for that? And he doesn't care about the story. I do hope at some point he goes to the story. I think he would probably change his mind, just like Asmon did. As for Asmon, I hope he's doing better. I look forward to seeing him stream again. But you know, I know he needs to take a break. I know he needs a rest. He needs some relaxation. He needs a break from all the bullshit of people deciding that he can't play 14 or that he needs to stop playing WoW or other stupid shit. You know what? I can't play WoW right now because of the bullshit going on, and I mean, I want to get Diablo 4, but I don't know if I can because of the bullshit. I am a person who actually does not own Nikes for the same damn reason. If I know a company is doing something that's breaking human rights, I actually cannot do anything with them. I was so excited to see the Mulan movie. I was excited to go see the Mulan movie in theaters, but when all that shit broke out about the concentration camps in China and the whole Disney thing with that, and that's when Mulan was recorded, I just couldn't watch it. I could not do it. I couldn't go to the theater. I just couldn't support it. So it's not like me being, you know, a silent person who's gonna I just personally, on my own personal moral level, I can't support it. I can't give my money there. And I've always done that when I know that there's something up. So I do hope Blizzard fixes it soon. I hope that they get to a point where they're great, because I really want to get Diablo 4 and really enjoy that game. But for the time being, I can't. I mean, also I was even looking for Diablo Immortal, so what would that be like? So, anyways, guys, let's keep. If you're a Final Fantasy 14 player, let's do our job. Let's drown out the assholes that just want to make us look bad. And again, I'm not talking about the WoW players. I'm talking about the Final Fantasy 14 casuals who get so butthurt when somebody accomplishes something that in reality, the shit they say stains all of us. We don't want to have a community. We don't want to go through the WoW thing where all of a sudden it's, oh, the Final Fantasy 14 community is toxic just like WoW. We need to do what we can to stop that. The problem with the WoW community wasn't that they were so much as toxic, but they were silent about it. We can't be silent about it. We need to call these little pansies out on their crap when they do it. And I think that's the most important thing is that we just call them out. Tell them to shut up. Nobody cares about their opinion. We know that they got the clear. And just because this person can't get the clear doesn't mean they need to throw a tantrum like a little baby and to stop making us look bad. Because we are a good community, and we're going to defend the players, both new and old. I may disagree with them, but when it comes to this shit, I will defend them. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it. I hope you stayed to the end of the video and realized that, yes, the title was clickbait, to be honest. That was a bit fun. But, you know, I'm really glad to see the WoW players are not beating Toxicity over here, and I am really sad to see that so many Final Fantasy 14 players are being so toxic when they clear something and want them to clear shit at minimum island. Dude, Look, man, if you're telling someone to play freedom in my level, you're so stupid, dude. Nobody does that. Nobody does that for fun. In fact, people just started doing that now because of streamers doing it. We didn't do that before. We cleared it at minimum level. We cleared it synced. But guys, alas, I guess we'll see where things go. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, leave us a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Again, I don't dislike women, I don't dislike guys, but I actually do like them. And I'm glad to see some of the positive things they're saying. I just want to make sure that at the same time, people don't come into the game and try to turn it into WoW. That's what I don't want. I don't want my game to become World of Warcraft. Because I played World of Warcraft, and I know what to expect if that happens. And a lot of people don't. There are a lot of people like, we'll be fine, but unless you played World of Warcraft and saw the shit that goes through there, you don't know what's gonna happen. With that said though, Secret Lane signing out. I'll catch you guys in the next video.